Welcome back. Today's explainer for day 29 of the AI Native Work Challenge is diving straight into data formats, the essentials of CSV, JSON, and Parquet. It's an absolutely essential and honestly sometimes surprisingly complex world, but we're going to break it all down.
Picture this. You get the exact same batch of customer data, but it lands on your desk in three totally different ways. One looks just like a regular old spreadsheet, another looks like a highly structured message from a web app, and the third, well, it's this massive, heavy-duty file built for crunching millions of rows at lightning speed. Which really begs the question, right? Why on earth do we need all these different formats if they're literally holding the exact same data?
Well, here is our roadmap to solve this little data mystery. First, the same data three ways. Then CSV, simple rows and columns, followed by JSON, flexible and nested data, and Parquet, built for big data. Next, a real-world e-commerce example, and finally, making the right choice. All right, section 1, the same data, three ways. Same info, different packaging. Let's look at why data requires completely different packaging depending on the job it needs to do. Moving on to section 2, CSV, simple rows and columns, also known as the human-friendly format, introducing our very first character. Honestly, this is by far the most familiar format for, well, anyone who's ever opened a spreadsheet or just tried to quickly share a list with a coworker. A standard CSV relies on a super simple row and column structure. You've got your headers right at the top, name, city, age, purchase, and the actual data sits neatly right underneath them. It works absolutely perfectly for these flat data sets you'd pop open in Excel or Google Sheets. It's clean, it's visible, and most importantly, a human being can read it instantly without any translation. So the real trick here is knowing exactly when to use it. CSV is your absolute go-to for humans sharing basic files. It totally shines when you have simple data sets, everyday data sharing, or small to medium-sized files where you just need to be able to read it yourself. But, and you know, this is a really big but, it quickly hits a wall when your data gets incredibly complex or scales up to a massive size. It just wasn't built for that kind of heavy lifting. Which brings us to section 3, JSON, flexible and nested data. Think of it as the web messenger. Now, this format looks way less like a table and a whole lot more like a highly structured message, specifically built for applications to talk to each other. What's super interesting here is how it totally breaks away from that flat spreadsheet vibe. JSON actually allows data to be nested. So you start with a customer, right? But tucked inside that customer, you've got their name and address. Go a little deeper, you find their orders. And inside those orders, specific products. It's creating these rich layers of relationships all within a single record. That is something a flat CSV literally cannot do. Because of this nesting superpower, JSON is the perfect flexible language for APIs. Think about a real-world scenario, like when your phone's weather app needs the latest forecast. It pings a server API, and that server packages up all this complex layered weather data, like temperatures, hourly forecasts, wind speeds, and zips it back to your phone as a JSON response. Actually, fun fact about JSON. It originally started out just for JavaScript, but it was so brilliantly simple that it spread like wildfire and effectively took over the entire internet as the standard for web apps communicating. Okay, section 4, Parquet, built for big data, the heavy lifter. Now, unlike our friend the CSV, this is a format that humans can't easily read with the naked eye. But machines, they absolutely love it for processing massive amounts of data. The real secret superpower of Parquet is something called columnar storage. So instead of storing data row by row, the way a CSV does, Parquet stores it by columns. And this fundamentally changes how data is saved and, way more importantly, how a computer retrieves it. Let me tell you why that is a total game changer for performance. Imagine you've got this massive data set with 100 different columns, but your specific analysis only cares about 3 of them: customer ID, revenue, and city. If you're using a row-based format, the system literally has to scan through all 100 columns just to find those 3. But with Parquet, your system can just pluck out those specific columns and completely ignore the rest. It saves an unbelievable amount of processing power and time. And because of that unmatched efficiency in scanning and retrieving, Parquet is hands down the undisputed champion for large-scale operations. When you're dealing with massive data lakes, cloud analytics, truly huge data sets, or heavy-duty data engineering pipelines, Parquet is the format you definitely want working behind the scenes. All right, let's bring it all together in section 5, real-world e-commerce example. So, how do these three wildly different formats actually coexist in the wild? Let's take a look at how a single e-commerce company uses all three of them at the exact same time. First up, imagine a business analyst who just needs to export a quick weekly sales report to format in Excel for an afternoon meeting. For this kind of straightforward human-facing task, they're going to use our simple friend, the CSV. Meanwhile, at that exact same moment, a customer is on the company's website dropping items into their cart. When that digital shopping cart dynamically talks to the backend servers to update the inventory and price, it is completely relying on the nested flexibility of JSON. And finally, down in the data science department, a team is running these massive yearly trend reports, analyzing millions and millions of historical sales records. To pull that off without completely crashing the servers or waiting days for a single query to finish, they need the raw analytical muscle of Parquet. Which brings us to our final section, Section 6, making the right choice, and why format matters at scale. So we can clearly see now there is no universally best format out there. But choosing the wrong one for a specific task, that can have some really serious business consequences. Making the wrong choice at scale isn't just some minor technical hiccup. Say you try to use a CSV for a massive analytical workload. You're going to drastically bloat your storage, slow down your processing speed to an absolute crawl, get terrible query performance, and ultimately you'll drive up your infrastructure costs because your servers are working way harder than they actually need to. So here is your mental cheat sheet to take away from today's explainer. Just remember this trio. CSV is simple and human-friendly. JSON is flexible and perfect for nested data talking between apps. And Parquet, that's your highly efficient powerhouse for large-scale analytics. As this quote hits right on the head, choosing a data format isn't just a technical decision. At scale, it can affect performance, cost, and how easily your systems work together. It goes straight to the core of how effectively your business runs, hitting your performance, your budget, and the overall harmony of your architecture.
I want to leave you with a question to really chew on. Take a hard look at your own pipelines, your exports, your databases. Ask yourself, are you actually using the right tool for the job? Or are your data formats silently bottlenecking your performance and just eating into your budget?
And that wraps it up. Day 29 of the AI Native Work Challenge is officially complete. But before you click away, seriously, take a glance at the files on your desktop right now. Are you defaulting to a format that's secretly costing your company time and money? Keep thinking about how your data is packaged, and I'll catch you in the next one.